Hi everybody, welcome to Stratosphere Studio, take two. Let's grab our friends over on Twitch here. Everybody, welcome to Stratosphere Studio, take two, as I said, over on YouTube. It's good to be back. It was a miserable experience yesterday, having that Streamlabs desktop fail at just as we were going on the air. But I'm kind of glad I took the night off and came back because I'm in a much better mood. I was actually in a good mood before that happened. So anyway, yeah, let me just set up my my little thingy boobs so that I can read the actual comments here. We're almost there. So hey, Max Models, good to see you. Long time no see. Hang on. All right, good. So this can go over here, and then this can go right there, and I think that's got it. Okay, great. Yeah, brighten it up, and we're in business here. So we shot our right angles today. We shoot on Tuesday afternoons. Charlie Kirk's assassination was on Wednesday, so it's a 6-day lag. And I don't guess the story's going anywhere, but it's the fastest we could really get on it, so that's a little better. Yeah, so anyway, here we are. Last night after we had that failure, I was just kind of stuck here, and I ended up seeing a link to one of the Apollo 11 What We Saw episodes, the third one, which I thought was by far the weakest one, but I watched it anyway, and I really liked it. And then I went to Daily Wire and I watched on and off, I guess probably a couple of hours of various episodes of Empire of Terror. And I'd forgotten, I haven't watched those in a long time, forgot how good those were. So, same shirt he wore yesterday, yes. It's I didn't get a full show out of it, so we are putting it back in the front of the rotation. So I was looking at those and looking at the comments and all the rest of that stuff, and yeah, and I'm really proud of it. Really forgot how good it is. So we have sort of a general plan now, and that is first thing to do is to get the website going. I was looking at, what was I looking at? Hang on. Just distracted myself as usual. Hang on a second. Find which one of these I actually liked. I'm probably going to read. Hang on, sorry. I'm just looking at something here. Nope. Tried out a new look for truth bombs. There's only one that looked half decent. And I'm just going to download that and show it to you if I can here. We gotta find it. I iterated this thing 25 times or something. It's just astonishing how dense. You want to talk about the ultimate idiot savant? That'd be AI videos. They're just unbelievable how beautiful they look, and then when you try to just tweak it, it's just crazy. It's just crazy how I might have to give up on this. There are just so many of them. Hang on. Nope. Yeah, I should have just had this ready. I'm going to try 2 or 3 more, and if that's not it, I'll just give up on this and I'll show it to you next time. because I kind of like the look here. Come on, Billy, you can do it. Come on. This is not the finished version, but it's close. Just something to look at. Yeah, it also needs more cowbell. I don't know if I'm going to go with this. It's just an idea. But here, I'm going to pop this into a couple of these things. It's at 720p. I'll just run it once or twice. No, you are that way, aren't you? Hang on. You know, Streamlabs Desktop and OBS apparently made by the same company, and I don't know why OBS is so easy to use and rock solid, and Desktop is just plain horrific. Let's see what I can find. Yeah, let's try this. Okay, got it running on YouTube. Hang on, where'd I put it? Where'd it go? Come on. Oh, there it is. There you go. You can tell this damned AI, I don't mean damned AI, I mean wonderful, wonderful AI. You can tell it 25 times to do the explosion simultaneously, but it won't. But I like the look, and I like the idea of the light bulb as, like, you know, exclamation point. So I think some variation of this, I'll play with it some more, try it in some other animation software, and we'll see what we get. Okay, that stopped. Looks like it stopped. Righto. Yeah, exactly. So it's just a little different than the fire thing. So, so I have spent today. I actually talked to the company that I hired this developer from, because it's been reverse the explosion. It's been 3 months and $2,200 when it was supposed to be 3 days and $500. And I wrote to the company and just said, look, this really got to be doing something. So we'll see about that. We're using a plugin on the website called Ultimate Member, which is free, and I don't want the free version. There's a new version. It's much more popular. I forget the name of it now. WP Member Pro or something like that. It offers an awful lot more benefits and an awful lot more options for the members inside, and I just have to make sure that it doesn't cause any disruption for our members, you know, which I'll do when I get a chance to talk to them tomorrow. I see a lot of people on YouTube talking about Destiny. I just saw a clip from him on X where he was basically, didn't he just say something like conservatives need to be afraid of being killed for expressing their opinion in public, something along those lines. I just saw it before I switched on. I'm just gonna. Is that what happened? Did that get him banned? He's been suspended from Twitch. Yeah, I call him Density. What a D-bag. And Hassan is worse. It's just amazing to think about. You know, Hassan was talking about gutting people and all the rest of this stuff. And I just look back and, you know, I just think you compare these guys to guys like, you know, Mike Knowles or Charlie Kirk, obviously, or all of that stuff. And he's just a rotten guy, man. And so is this Hassan. They're just rotten guys. And I don't know of any rotten guys on our side. I know Alex Jones is a little bit out there, but even Alex Jones, who I think is as extreme right as it gets, I don't think he's a bad guy. I've seen him pop blood vessels in his head, but I've never seen him do it over hatred of people or any of that stuff. And I just don't know how. I just don't know how they. I don't know how they live. I really don't. Effin Geek AZ says Destiny uses abuser logic. Shut up, or I'll keep hitting you. Nick Fuentes, Andrew Tate are pretty rotten on the right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But man, plus he's just got nothing in the tank, man. He's just got nothing in the tank. I have yet to hear anything of, forget profound, anything of any substance at all come out of Density. And when you get into their personal lives, to the degree that you can, it's like, whoa, holy cow. Now that we got the rooms more or less up and settled, first thing I want to do really officially is just to admit I was wrong about when we talked about this last Thursday. It looked like 4chan had found this person who sure looked like they matched the thing, but wasn't that person. I was wrong. Lord Bio said, be careful before you go out there. He's right, I was wrong. I would apologize to the person, but that person did have something called Charlie Kirk dead at 31 a month ago. So, FM. Damien Internal Rage Gershwin says, it's a good to see new names and new people here. The thing is, Destiny's genuinely an intelligent person, but he's massively deranged. I haven't seen it. I believe you. I'm not calling you a liar by any means. I've yet to see anything that he said that was even interesting, let alone deep. Yeah, it's pretty hot out there. I'll tell you one thing. They're talking about, and then we'll get on to some more entertainment kind of stuff. But they're talking about this being, I don't want to say exactly a conspiracy, but relatively widely known inside that small little circle. There's no question there was a post a day or two before Charlie spoke there saying something big's going to happen at the Charlie Kirk event. And I think the thing that's most compelling is, do any of you know who I'm talking about when I talk about Celebration guy at the assassination? The guy with the beard and the curly hair. There's a shot that fires out, and everybody goes down except for this one guy that goes up, like jumping up and down. That guy. He's tried to defend himself, and he's nuts. He said he was screaming USA, USA to distract the shooter. Yeah. I cannot, and if somebody can help me with this, that's great. But I cannot think of any rational explanation for what he did other than the fact that he knew in advance that something was coming. Because that is exactly how he behaved. Every single other person out there, the second they heard the shot, went down. That's just a reflex. That's a reflex. Everybody was down on the ground because you don't know how many shooters are out there. You don't know how many shots they're going to be taking. They could just start firing into the crowd. But this one guy got up and just started celebrating as if he was expecting it. Like he'd been told something cool would happen. That's what he looked like. He looked like a guy, who was, told that there was going to be like a jet flyover or something. And he was the only person who didn't hit the ground. And the only explanation I can come up with for that guy is that he was expecting one shot. And when he saw that shot hit, he knew there wasn't going to be another one. And he was just cheering to the skies because that's what he was there for. Marusha Dark says Scott Adams was saying the left is getting the consequences of the world they created right now with cancellations. Yeah, you bet. And I mentioned this on the Right Angles Were Recorded. I mentioned this when we went on the air the night he was shot. And I just want to be crystal clear about this. I am 100% against doxing and releasing personal information. I'm against death threats to those individuals, 100% against that. I'm certainly against any violence against those individuals, but I am 100% in favor of making sure that they never work again. Because those people who were jubilant over it are dangerous. And furthermore, of all of the, I just spent 3 days watching reactions videos for hours, 3 hours a day for 3 days after Charlie was killed. Just scrolling through it, and I was just ice cold. I wasn't getting my blood pressure up. I was just looking at it and taking it in and trying to make sense out of it. And of all of the things that these things, not all of them have this, but most of them do. It's that fake laugh. Hey, Kobo Bunny Music. It's that fake laugh, So, MAGA, looks like one of your guys got hurt today. Looks like you're in some trouble. I just, I really want to know. Deporter-in-Chief says he's up to 141 celebration videos archived, up from 50 the first day. I think it's something like 500 people fired, and I think that's just great. And they're saying, what about free speech? It's like, you had your free speech. Thank you, Anita. I love it too. They keep me. These guys keep me on my game. No, we're not taking away your right to free speech. We're taking away your right to speech without consequences. Darth Chuck the Merciless says, sorry, Hudson, you want some? How about you? You like that? Castleton says over 1,200 fired as of this morning. Good. See, the difference between me and Destiny is Destiny thinks that more Republicans need to be killed in order to have them watch their manners. And I think that more progressives need to be fired for making outrageous comments, for making inhuman, unhuman comments. That's the difference between the two positions. I do think that there's so much going on, in the web. I played a bunch of video games in my life. I've never used hand controllers, thumb controllers. I just got to it too late. And when I tried picking them up, I just didn't have anything like the accuracy. I just didn't have the thumb precision. But when I saw one of the things was up arrow, right arrow, down, 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 I knew that was a video game command. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was a controller command. Eric says, Bill, if it helps, it's the epitome of the iterated prisoner's dilemma. You cancel us, we cancel you back. Exactly. That's exactly right. Deporter-in-Chief says, history shows that nations who promote, celebrate, and carry out assassinations for speech suffer grave consequences. We cannot let it stand unchallenged. I really think... Quibo says new evidence from the left says the shooter was a Nick Fuentes groyper. No, I think that's been conclusively disproven. Marusha says TPUSA went from 21,000 chapters to 34,000 as a result of this. Yeah, their Daily Wire announced that they were going to donate $1 million to TPUSA. The question is, that more than anything I can think of is really a one-man show. I'm not saying there aren't people. Yeah, I am actually saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't know how. I think TPUSA is going to become very successful, and I think TPUSA is going to be around for a while, good long while. But I don't know how they replace Charlie. Because the thing many people have pointed out is that the remarkable thing about Charlie Kirk is that he he wasn't just good as a speaker out on campus. He was an organizational and fundraising genius. I mentioned this on the backstage show, and I'll give it to you the way I gave it to the boys today. When I first met Charlie, it was about 2013, 14, somewhere around there. He was just getting started, and we were at a David Horowitz event in Palm Springs, and I think the first time I met him. And Charlie went in there and sniped my biggest donor. Just basically took her aside and sniped her. She said she was going to make a donation to BillWhittle.com, and then she changed her mind and made her donation to TPUSA, which was just getting started at the time. And I was pretty angry about that for, I don't know, a couple days. And then I realized that, no, he's just better at it than I am. That's my failure. It's not his problem. His goal was to raise as much money as he could, and he moved faster and more aggressively than I did, and worked it harder. And this is the difference between people who blame the rest of the world for their problems and people who don't. He just wanted it more. He just really wanted it more. Yeah, he was best in public. I don't think he was a great public speaker in terms of on stage, but he was matchless in terms of being out there with the public. And I haven't got anything close to that kind of hide. I started getting some of this, followed out to the car kind of, Facebook posts kind of things, and and people showing up just to shout me down kind of thing. And I just said, I don't need this, man. I don't need it. But Charlie was, he was just unmatched at it. Scott Ott said something about Charlie I thought was really profound, maybe the most profound thing I've heard about Charlie Kirk. He said his technique was his message, and I thought that's exactly right. Changed my mind. I think Crowder started that, if I recall. But yeah, and I'll say something else too. I said that I mentioned on the Right Angle shows. You guys get to hear it first. Thank you, Sicka Pollen. That's very kind. But I got to do better in Charlie's area. I have to do much better. But thank you. What was it about? Come on. See if I can. I remember. On Blue Sky, there was a little fun contest, as one is wont to do, where they did a poll on Blue Sky, trying to figure out who should be next. Who should we kill next? And the leading candidate by 3-1 was Ben Shapiro, followed by Matt Walsh. And I said it publicly during the Right Angles, and I'd like to say it publicly now to whoever's watching. I've had differences of opinion and differences of style with both of them, but my admiration for their physical courage, their just raw physical courage, is unmatched. Ben got up there and said, we're gonna pick up Charlie's bloodstained microphone and continuing, and if it turns out, you don't like it, then F you. He's had 24-hour security for 10 years. And I tell you, man, I really don't. Thank you for that, Sicka Paul. I'll get to a second. I just look. You get some flack sent your way when you're a semi-public figure, but I've never gotten death threats that I know of, except for one time when I said hyperbolically that Texas needs to escort people out of the state, and if it turns out that they're looking for real estate, you need to open fire with rocket launchers and tow missiles or whatever you got. Some people took that seriously, so there was a period for about a day when I got death threats. But other than that, I've never gotten a serious one. And I get the feeling that Michael Knowles doesn't get a lot of them either, or Clavin, because there's a certain approachableness and friendliness to them, and you get the general idea. I really think, I think Charlie Kirk maybe changed the course of history with the 2024 election, and as I pointed out on my right angle, which we shot just a couple hours ago, I think he may have changed the course of history in the same way that John Brown or Franz Ferdinand's assassination did. When Kennedy was assassinated, everybody was shocked and brutalized by it, but nothing really changed afterwards. It wasn't like the beginning of a worldwide revolution, but we got people in Melbourne, Australia, and Poland and Korea holding up pictures of Charlie Kirk. That means there's something bigger going on. You get a revolution after an assassination when the existing situation is a powder keg, and I think that the world is a powder keg now. I think people have had enough. I think people have had enough of the lawlessness and the just enough of the left, just enough of the left. So, I don't know. Kobo Venom Music has an interesting point. Says the collectivist socialists will learn the consequences of collective responsibility. And that's actually another interesting point too, because they're collectivists, they assume that anybody who's on the other tent is equally guilty. They're all equally Nazis or fascists. Individualists look at individual people and kind of judge them by as individuals, people with flaws and some positive characteristics. I just can't stand Destiny. I just can't stand them. But I would be very somber and full of regret if I found out that somebody killed him for being, a D-bag. That would not make me happy. I have no wish for that. I think the thing I really wish for people like Hassan seems like a different kind of guy. He seems just plain. He just looks like a jihadi. Kind of sounds like a jihadi to me. Destiny just seems like a really unhappy, lost kind of angry young man, So, I don't know. Hello, Lulu, sorry. Good to see you. Everybody's nice. I love it when people check in and say hi. But I don't know what they're going to do without him. Brian L. says, sad that the measure of an influential conservative is how many death threats they get. No, he's not a good guy. Destiny's son is far right? How old is he? I guess he's probably in his late 30s or something, I guess. Maybe it's just that he sounds like a 13-year-old. Anyway, wow. I'll tell you though, 36. Alex Hooper says, I shared a video earlier of Density ranting about killing his parents and describing laying out maps and having a plan and being ready to literally carry it out. Well, that guy, if that's true, and I have no doubt it's true, that fellow needs to be looked into. That's a tough one too, Lou says, what do you do when it's your own big sister that you used to idealize that's spewing the hateful rhetoric about Charlie? Well, I don't know, Lulu. I wanted to have some kind of hopeful answer for you. But to be honest with you, the first thing that came to mind is I think you just grieve, and hope that over time reality will sink back in. Um, anyway, let's see what we got in the question circle. Website is definitely faster. All right, here we go. Got it. Thanks to Marusha for curating this thing. So we got Marusha Dark. We got a Roadrunner, capital G Geek, Astro Seiya, Broke College Student, Road Rider, Eric Blake, Eric Oshiro. It's a lot. And they're long too. We'll see what we can do here. Okay. Topic RIP Charlie Kirk reposted. Bill, I know it's Monday, but since your tech guy yeeted my thread last week, I hope you don't mind that I've decided to rewrite my post from memory. This time I made sure to back it up just in case. Thank you. In light of recent events, I'm not in much mood for arguing or disagreement. Instead, I want to talk about Charlie Kirk. I didn't really know him well, but yet I greatly respected and admired him. Normally, I'm not bothered by death at all, yet I find myself taking his murder quite personally, as I think we all are, even more so than when Trump got shot. I feel a profound sorrow and a fury I've not felt in a long, long time. Genuinely good man has died. Even as I write this for the second time, I find myself tearing up with emotion. Charlie was the one who first persuaded me that everything was going to be okay in the immediate aftermath of Trump bombing Fordo, a prediction that came to pass and for which I feel much better about thanks to his wise counsel. Of course, we all enjoyed his content, but he was more than that. He was courageous, a force of nature. I used to joke and say I'll put my MAGA credentials up against anyone, except perhaps Charlie Kirk. No one has done more for the MAGA movement than him, and now he's gone. Only the very best and very worst people get assassinated, and Charlie was certainly among the best of us. He was the hero we needed, while Trump was the hero we deserve, and Charlie died a hero and a martyr. Above all else, Charlie saw himself as a Christian first and foremost. I don't think he would want us doing violence in his name. Oh, I don't either. Even as live streams and social media across the world now cry out, this means war. Rather than given into black pills, I think we ought to channel our fury towards the good as he would have wanted to build a brighter future. I've heard his assassination compared to 9/11 in terms of how visceral it was, that suddenly everything changed, an apt but perhaps chilling comparison given the loss of freedom, wars, and civilian deaths that followed in the wake of 9/11. All things Charlie would not want to see happen, least of all because of him, and which I fear we must guard against in the days to come, to seek justice rather than vengeance. Amen. That's it. Justice rather than vengeance. That's exactly it. At the same time, Charlie was not afraid to speak the truth and fight fiercely for what is right. Perhaps I grieve as much for our republic as I do for him, seeing what is to come and being unable to do anything about it, anything to change it. In the end, Charlie died as he'd lived, surrounded by loving friends and family, while courageously reaching out an olive branch towards his enemies, inviting them to sit and talk in good faith and brotherhood. May we who survive him live in such a way as to honor his life, his mission, his memory, and his legacy, and carry on his sacred work. In closing, I think the following quote from Hamlet is an apt send-off. Now cracks a gentle heart. Good night, sweet prince, and flights of angels sing thee to thy rest. Rest in peace, Charlie. You'll be missed. Well, that was very nice. Marisha's beautiful. What did I see? There's one thing. I think. Thank you, John Ogilvy. Good on you. Aussie, and I hope things get better for you down there in the happy land. John Ogilvy says, sending love and support from Australia. Um, uh, I think now my closing on my segment on Charlie this week was that I think what most people are experiencing is that, and it's a horrifying realization. But I think what most people are feeling on some level is the sickening realization that this is not a political conflict, and it hasn't been for a long time. It's a spiritual conflict. It's a moral, philosophical, but mostly spiritual conflict. And I think that that's why so many cases of people are saying things like, I went to church for the first time in 25 years. I saw one guy who'd never worn a suit before. He bought a Bible, he went to church, and he said he's trying to be a better man. I think a lot of people are trying to be better people because of Charlie Kirk. But I think what also happened is that what we saw in the response, because to me the Charlie Kirk assassination is a binary event. It is the horror of the assassination, just the sheer horror of it, and then there is the reaction, which is more visceral. I didn't hate the left until I saw their reaction to Charlie Kirk. I came pretty close to it when I saw the reaction to Donald Trump nearly being killed, but he wasn't killed. And so there's that. But I hate them now, and I hate them with a righteous anger. I hate them because they deserve to be hated, and because hate is the appropriate reaction for any group of animals that are outraged by. Outrage is not the term I'm looking for. An outrage is committed upon the group by an individual or others, and the biological reaction to that should be anger that becomes hatred. Richard Dark, Dave Rubin on Piers Morgan versus Cenk had more of a look of fury in his eyes than I've ever seen in Dave's face before. He looked like he was out for blood. Yeah, Dave Rubin was a superstar on that thing. And is it Cenk or Senk? I don't care. He was trying to say, well, we never accused Republicans of being fascists, and then Dave just read him the riot act. But now I don't see them as political opponents, Cenk. I don't see them as political opponents now. Now I see them as spiritual opponents. I see them as the embodiment of evil, and I don't use that term lightly. I am still agnostic, although I certainly am leaning in one direction. I am agnostic on the question of whether or not there is a supernatural force of evil. I lean more towards it every day. But even if there isn't, from a purely materialistic behaviorist point of view, these people are not human. There's something really, really psychotically wrong with them. And in either case, or both cases, they need to be opposed. This is not a question of compromise. You can't compromise with evil, and you can't reason with the insane. And I am not looking at them as people who are on a different side of the political aisle. I am looking at them as inhuman, not subhuman, inhuman, unhuman bipeds that have to be stopped, politically stopped, really politically stopped. I'm starting to get a real handle, I think, on their psychology and how their belief system is. And yeah, that's right, exactly. The lizard people back there. I'm certainly past the point of having. Look, it's really this simple. I mean, honestly, the whole argument is right here. You can see the whole argument in 5 seconds. Kamala Harris was asked, "Do you think that Donald Trump is literally a fascist?" And she said, "Yes, I do." Period. That's it. That is the Democratic Party presidential candidate being asked a question about whether she literally believed he was an actual fascist, and she didn't hesitate. She didn't equivocate or try to bend the definition. She just came out and said, "Yes, I do." Okay, so there you go. Coco Bunny Music says, "That's a mistake, though, Bill. They're all too human. The capacity for human beings to become monsters has been repeated throughout history. Unfortunately, kind of a reversion to animalistic tribalism." But I'll tell you what I think it really is, though, Kobo. I don't think it's. It finds that these people find their home in tribalism, but their defect is that they are pathologically narcissistic addicts who have no self-respect at all, and whose need to elevate and justify themselves in their own eyes becomes so intense that it causes a psychotic break with reality. These people glorified Charlie Kirk's death so that they could get cookies from other liberals who also feel the same way. They did it so they could get the thumbs up and the, "Yeah, I agree with you, yeah." They thought they're being, warriors and all the rest of it. They're just plain hollow shells of people, and they have to associate themselves with causes where other people are constantly validating, and I mean daily, hourly, by the minute, validating them by telling them that they're good people. And the best possible evidence that they would be good people is the fact that they're fighting Nazis. It's all the same. It's all the same thing. When you hear a liberal or a progressive say, I'm an anti-fascist, I'm fighting Nazis, that's not to put conservatives down. That's to elevate themselves. When they say, I follow the science because we have to save the planet, just think about the narcissism of that statement. The narcissism. I'm saving the planet because my car gets 32 miles to the gallon, but you're killing everything on the planet because your car gets 32 miles to the gallon. Hi, Limescale. Howdy, Bill. I thought you stopped posting, but actually YouTube unsubscribed me a while ago. That was nice of them. Time-saving effort on their part. That's what it is. They are so infatuated with their whole self-image that they are saving the planet, and they are stopping a genocide. If the Israelis really wanted to kill all the Palestinians, that would have been done 3 days after October 7th. It would have been just over. I mean, it just would have been over. And there's no doubt about it. If you gave Palestinians a button to push that would kill all the Jews, they'd push it immediately. Because the Jews already have that button. And they could have pushed it at any time, really, since probably at least 67, and certainly by 73, 74. They had the military supremacy to simply bulldoze the Palestinians into the sea. They don't do it. And so the Palestinian genocide. You listen to these people, they talk about the trans genocide. One of the people I saw dancing on Charlie's grave, some Pillsbury neckbeard couch extrusion, said that Charlie Kirk had killed probably 40 trans people. He said he was responsible for the death of no less than 40 trans people. And number one, that's obviously not true, but number two, what he means by that is Charlie Kirk said something that trans people didn't like, so they killed themselves. saying something that you don't like and making it and then killing yourself over it. That's not murder. That's a big, big, big mental health issue. So we'll see. Yeah, and Lisa Roberts calls them nose ring cows. The nose ring theory is undefeated. Not every crazy person has a nose ring theory, has a nose ring, but everybody wearing a big nose ring in the front, especially septum piercing, chances are pretty good that they're not well. I know on some level a lot of these women are doing it specifically to turn men off, but man, are they ever successful at it? It is such a turnoff. It's just horrible, and the tattoos as well. I'm thinking when I mentioned this, it wasn't too long ago. I mentioned might want to get on the whatever podcast with these poor lost, incredibly stupid, vapid women, and the ones who are convinced they're going to marry billionaires and all the rest of it, and just say, listen, I've been to some very, very high level parties and events. I've been at events with multiple billionaires. I've been out with movie stars. I've been to a number of those parties, and in all of those parties I've been to, I have not once in my life, not one time, seen a woman there who had either a facial piercing or a visible tattoo. Never. I've never seen it. Rough Ryan says, the colony's comment, I feel like the colony should depict the smoking hot babe doing all the most attractive things imaginable, making her get passed up by a person in order to find the nice sweet girl that is a lady and wants to be a wife and mother. May not look as good, but she gets the man. Yeah, because you don't have the luxury of out there of marrying somebody high maintenance. She's gonna have to pull her own weight. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, the OnlyFans girls, they're just lost, and they're dumb as a box of rocks. And the idea of a guy with millions or $100 millions of dollars marrying one of those creatures, and then him having to spend hours a day trying to talk to that person who can't name 3 countries. I mean, it's just plain insane. It's insane. I was okay. Eric Blake gets an actual LOL for me. Yeah, he often does, but today for sure. Eric says he only subscribes to OnlyFans for the articles. That's well played, Eric. All right, moving on. Roadrunner and greetings, friend Bill. Hey, Roadrunner, good to see you. First, congratulations on getting the website speed back to normal. It's a lot easier and faster to browse the website now. Yes, I am thinking about just plain. I sat down and had a little talk with my buddy Grok and said, listen, man, how hard is it for us to install this membership plugin? He said, nothing to it, just a number of steps. So I'm thinking about getting rid of what we have, which is, as I mentioned, Ultimate Member, which is a free plugin and very dated. And there are some, some others for like $150, $200 a year that have many, many more options. Among which are the ability to pay with, like Venmo or any of this stuff, and give you a lot more options inside the site as well. I just need to talk to them live, to the developers of that plugins that very highly rated. I did a lot of research on it, and I want to make sure that it doesn't cause disruption for the existing members, but I think I'm just going to install it because I've spent 3 months on this and I filed a complaint today. So, references real quick. Bill Grok question: do you use the free version? Are you paying a monthly subscription? And is there a difference as to its computing power, and quality of answers and interactions? I pay for Super Grok it's not terribly expensive, and I use it a lot. So I don't actually know that I'm getting my money's worth. Oh, you're welcome, Rusha. It was beautiful. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to wonder if I'm missing features or power or speed because I'm trying to save myself $20 a month. So give you a great example. I was so enamored with Grok when I first started talking about all the physics and all the rest of that stuff. I've become considerably more skeptical about that. But what it is excellent for is serving as a very, very fast research assistant. That kind of thing is great. I filled out a form today, and I needed to know when the business got started, BillWhittle.com, and I said, you guys are getting commercials on the stream. That may be, sorry to interrupt myself, that may be because when I was playing around with trying to get the login done after the thing yesterday, it's possible I turned monetization on for that stream. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find out. Because it looks like a lot of people are dealing with this for the first time. And that is not my intention. So let me see what I got here. Hey, look at that. That's live. Can I control this from here? No? Maybe from YouTube Studio. I may not be able to do it in midstream. I tell you, if I will not do it again if that's what it was. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can turn that off. Live stream performance. Comments. 2 hours. 2 hours? Wait a minute. Hang on. Latest live stream performance. Hang on. I sure don't want to interrupt this stream, but let me see. That's it. That's it. Okay. What had happened there was I had turned the stream on when I was trying to. I had to go back and reset all the login credentials. So I turned the stream monetization on. I've turned it off. I'm hoping it will stay off, and hopefully you won't see any more commercials. And if they can't change it in midstream, then it'll be off for next time. So hopefully that'll do it. Okay, back to the questions here. Anyway, Roadrunner, thanks for getting those faster speeds and so on. When do you think you'll start the membership drive? Do you have any story mechanics interviews set up yet? Most importantly, how's Natasha doing? Great. So first of all, the membership drive is dependent on the website, which has been 3 months, $2,000 on an original estimate of 3 days, $300 to $500. And I am no further along than I was 3 months ago. So I am going to. So I can't do anything until the website is not only functional but ironclad. I cannot make a big push to get everybody to come to the website, have them bounce off, shut up and take my money kind of issue. It's just not possible. That would be the end of me psychologically. It just kill me. So I have to get that done, and I'm thinking I'm just going to install this new membership thing. I do want to talk to the developers of this new membership package because I want to make sure that it doesn't affect the existing members or give them options that the non-members don't have. I don't think it will. We changed our bank, that was a big step forward. And that was September 1st, so that's already half a month. I've been waiting for this guy. Once, we made it easier. So I've got story mechanics. By the way, I actually am thinking that I'm thinking about making story mechanics members only content. One of the things that this new plugin that I mentioned for membership does is it has I've never heard the term before, but it makes sense to me. I think it's called drip. So basically you can set content as members only content, and then after 30 days or whatever you decide, then it drops out of being members only content and becomes available to everybody. I don't want to lock anybody out of that, but on the other hand, I've got that really great promo from Mike Rowe, and it's leverage, so I don't know. I can do cut downs, and I don't want to do that. I'm just mulling it over. I'll have to get some feedback on that anyway. I don't have any new story mechanics shot. I've still got 6 Mike Rowe segments to edit on a different topic on the Working Man. And then Speaker Steve asked the $1 million question. Hey, Bill, doesn't 191,000 subs equal $110,000 a year in income? No, it does not. It equals about $12,000 a year in income, because 191 subs, we just had a gentleman appeared earlier who said, oh, I didn't know you were still on the air. So that number isn't real. Bill, wasn't the whole point of story mechanics to help people learn how to tell stories? Kind of important. Yeah, it is. And that's the reason to not do it. But yeah, look, if I had 191,000 actual subscribers, there's no way I could put out a right angle and have it get seen by 4,000 people. Because that's just it. Don't you know that's why they call him Bill Moneybags Whittle? Exactly, Limescale. And I think it was Limescale who had mentioned, I thought I was completely off the air. The YouTube had unsubscribed him because they had taken away my, didn't show up in his feeds anymore. And since I don't show up in his feeds anymore, he doesn't click on my content after probably, 5 years or something. You say, oh, well, just kill the subscription. I have heard, yeah, I agree with Andrew. A lot of people are, I really don't think I will make it members only. Andrew DeLay says, a member, I don't really care that much about exclusive content. I'm a member to keep the ship moving. I am going to add into the mix as soon as I get this thing spun up. I am going to add a weekly Skype call, not Skype, oh, come on, Zoom call. And that'll be definitely for members only. So, yeah, a lot of people, Dave, it's just very hard to prove intent. If Elon had bought YouTube, but YouTube's market value is enormously higher than Twitter's was. But if Elon Musk hadn't bought Twitter, I just don't think we would have won that election, and I think that would have been the end of the country. I genuinely believe it. I really think that was the most important thing he's done for this country. And there's a lot that he's done for this country. Darth Chuck says Zoom is still Chicom centric and controlled. Do not trust. Maybe I could find, I don't know, Microsoft Meeting or something like that. Something where I can send out an email with a link and it'll be regularly scheduled. Do it that way. Members only merch. Yeah, well, the thing about that, it would be you would give that to them when they become a member, and that is a a, 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 heavy that's just a real labor-intensive kind of Zoho meeting. I've never heard of it, but let's find out. Okay. Yeah, great. Sold. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Zoom either. Believe me. So anyway, on to and finally, most importantly, how's Natasha doing? So Natasha went in for surgery on Friday. We've had a couple of bad experiences with the American healthcare system. I had to go to the emergency room twice, 2 different emergency rooms. We were in the first one for 2.5 hours and didn't get treated, and we finally just left because drug addicts were coming in and vomiting on the floor and things like that. Then we went when she broke her left. It was either the, I don't know, it was radius or the ulna, whichever one's on the outside. This bone split, and she also broke her right elbow. So she broke her left wrist and broke her right elbow. And we were in the emergency room for 7.5, 8 hours. At least they got her some pain medication early. But 8 hours to take some x-rays, and then we went home. And then she had to wait for, so she was hurting for 8 days before we got to, avoid the ER if at all possible. Yeah, absolutely. She just fell down and broke her wrist. That's all there is to it. So we went to the ER, and then we had to wait till Friday, which was 4 days ago. And we found a really good surgeon because Natasha's friends of a Russian woman who was a medical tech at our former general practitioner who died of a heart attack at 46. Called this woman Christina up, and Christina said, we've got a great hand surgeon, and so we went to see him, and he was great. We scheduled the surgery, and then he said he wanted to move it to Cedars-Sinai, which added about $3,000 to the copay, and I didn't think twice about it. I said, yeah, absolutely. Money is tight, obviously, at least for the time being, and I'm planning on getting rid of that particular burden. But you don't save any money on doctors or lawyers. And it was really important not only that that she get full, absolute full use of her hand back, because she's an artist and a painter and photographer. So not only was it important that she get full use of her fingers and hands back, but it was also really important to me that she has a good experience. And on the way down there, after having some really bad experiences with American healthcare, and hearing about how kind of great Russian healthcare is, and you just walk in there and they treat you and it's no charge and all the rest of that stuff. I just said, on the drive down, I'm just praying to myself, please let this be okay. But I'll tell you what, man, it is. I'll tell you what I told her. Cedars-Sinai is undoubtedly the best hospital in LA, and it's one of the best hospitals in the world. I was doing a video shoot that had been scheduled weeks in advance, and they'd secured a studio for me and everything. So Natasha had a friend come in that drove her down to the hospital, and I got there about a half an hour after she arrived, so well before the procedure. I got there, and we got into I found the pre-procedure room she was in, and she was in this. Hang on, let me get these windows back. She was in this surgical gown, and she just looked huge, and it's because they had a hose that hooked up to the surgical gown she was in, exactly like on a vacuum cleaner bag, and she had this little controller in her hand, and this thing was blowing air into the surgical bag, and you could dial in whatever your comfortable temperature was to within a degree. So if you're in there really hot and you feel like the room is cold, you can heat it up. If you're sweating, you can cool it down, and just like personal climate control, which was pretty cool. Then all the doctors came in and introduced themselves and showed us their IDs. Hi, I'm your anesthesiologist, and I'm your anesthesiologist assistant, and I'm this primary surgeon came in, then his assistant came in, and when she got wheeled down to the operating room, she went in there and she just couldn't believe it. It was just this huge room, it was bright lights there, obviously, and there were like 18 people in there. And I said, how many people were they operating on? She said, it was just for me. I said, that's pretty amazing. And they all came over and all said hi and introduced themselves, and couldn't be friendlier. And I said, well, so they did the procedure, and she had a barcode, and there's like a board, kind of like an arrivals board at the airport. So you had the patient number, and it would be pre-procedure, and then boom, move into procedure underway, and then it would move into recovery room, and every time a status changed, I'd get a text. So I was waiting about 3 hours, I guess, for the whole thing, and they gave her a nerve block, which is so it was the ulna. Thank you, Gare Bear. She fractured her ulna right here, fractured it and displaced it, split it off. So they put a plate in there, and they gave her a nerve block, and they said, look, what we want to do is we want to give you a serious nerve block. It's essentially local anesthesia, but it's powerful. And they said, and the reason we want to do this is this will kill the pain, and we just have to give you a tiny little bit of general anesthesia, just enough to put you to sleep, but not so much to put you under to kill all that pain. And she said they put the nerve block in it like that. They had I think they went into a vein or something like that. And she's looking up at the screen, and she can see this probe going down a vein, and then just jabbing her. Oh, he's just like, God, that sounds horrible. It was pretty stressful. But when she got out of there, man, her arm was, she just couldn't believe how heavy her arm was. When she woke up from surgery, she just felt like somebody was almost sitting on her, because her arm was here, and you don't realize how much kind of your muscles resist gravity, all the time. But it was like a log that she was carrying. Just throw it over her shoulder, didn't feel a thing. And so we sat up and stayed up pretty much all night, because she wasn't really in pain. But we watched the last 4 episodes of The Chosen, I think. Probably finally got to bed around 4 or 5 in the morning, and just before we got to sleep, I was exercising her fingers for her. They said just keep them moving so they don't get too much fluid buildup. And just before we went to bed, I touched her finger. She went, oh! I said, what? She said, I can feel it. And she actually started crying. I said, were you worried you weren't going to get this back? She said, well, I just didn't know. But yeah, so I basically hand fed her like a little bird for the first I don't know, 15 hours, something like that. Just like Alex at the end of Clockwork Orange. But by the next day, she was up and about and feeding herself and all the rest of that stuff. And now her pain is, she's not even taking pain meds anymore, or at least if she is, she's taking 1 a day. And that's why you spend the money on, on the best guy you can. I did the kitty airplane spoons. I absolutely did it. Open up the hangar door. So, yeah, I absolutely did that. And last I spoke to her, just earlier today, I said, how's the arm? She said, I don't feel it, She's got got a titanium plate here now to keep that in place, and she says she can feel it. She didn't smack me with her bionic hand because she's a lady. But yeah, if we're ever in a house fire or something like that, she can just smash it with her. Ashton, is that you, Ashton? Is that the famous Ashton who was on our show? No Name Game? Is that my nephew who just showed up in YouTube? It's got to be. Who else could it be? Ashy. Let's see. That is a happy, pleasant surprise. Yes! Hooray! It's great to see you, man. It's really great to see you. Ashton came and visited us in December of 21. Was it 21? I think. And just as his plane was on the way from Florida, I was feeling like, oh God, why am I so cold? Somebody had to go pick him up at the airport. Not much shaking there, hombre. And so Ashton arrived for his big California Christmas vacation, just as I and Natasha picked up the Omega strain of COVID, and he spent the entire. Ashton got to the house. He was sick for a miserable 6 hours, 3. What was it? How long were you sick? He was like, how old were you at the time? 13, 14, something like that. He's in perfect health, right? So this miserable little kid is sick for, threw up, and 20 minutes later he's over COVID, just completely over it. This is fine. He's just doing nothing, and I am freaking laid out. And it was Omicron. Yeah, not Omega, Omicron. And I'm laid out. And so is Natasha. And so he spent the whole time. We were going to go everywhere. We were going to, he says like he was sick for 8 hours. Yeah, miserable, low-life bastard. I remember when I had cartilage and hormones and energy and things like that. So I was feeling just so guilty, but I did have a virtual reality headset and a pretty decent computer. So turns out Ashley had a great time. And you're overdue to come back there, pal. There's absolute certain proof that Ashley is my brother's son, and not directly descended from me, because I saw some pictures of him playing football in this was high school, and I saw a picture of him and his girlfriend, and I thought, that's my brother. That's not me for sure. I mean, good Lord. I think I was hanging out in a cave or a ditch or something, while you're out there just knocking them down as a good-looking kid. Used to be, not anymore. You've become grotesque and horrifying in your mid to late teens. Can barely stand to look at you anymore. That computer's still doing me very good, Mr. Bill. She's still chugging. Well, I'm glad to hear it. I sent him a computer I had, and I think I sent him one that had this water-cooled graphics card. I remember the thing weighed 100 pounds. Man, it's good to see you, Ashley. It's just really, really, really good to see you, pal. Really, 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 really good to see you. That is the nicest surprise I've had in a long time. What time is it back there? Is it 10:30 back east? Lives in Tennessee. He's out there running the ridges and eating possums and cooking up some victuals. And I miss seeing you, man. This is one of the best surprises I've had during the show ever. Tell your dad I said hi. So that's great. Anyway, Natasha is fine, and if we end up in a house fire or something, and we can't get to the door, she'll just smash the wall down with her bionic hand. So man, that makes me happy. Anyway, back to Roadrunner here. One last thing. When I sent you a super chat, 9:33. Oh, that's right, you're in Central Time. See, he's dissing me live in front of hundreds, literally dozens of people. Next time I see you, young man, I'm going to put you over my knee and teach you some respect before you beat the living crap out of me. Yeah, those days are over. Hang on. I might have something. Hold on. Hang on. Hold on. Hold the phone. It's worth It would be worth the wait. Hang on, if I can find it. I won't waste. Oh, there's Bean. My little Bean. I miss him so much. Oh, I miss him. I miss my Bean. Looking through my pictures here. Where'd it go? I think this is probably too long. Where is that boy? Where did he get to? Hang on 1 second. Hold on, almost there. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here, I'll just bring it up. Here's a latest picture I have of Ash. It was taken just a couple weeks ago, I think. Here we go. Yeah, that's him. Hang on. Where is it? Hang on. Can't just drag and drop it on this software like you could with normal software. Yep. Here you go. There he is. I think I took this a couple weeks ago. Yeah. You know, he's a late bloomer. Is probably the best way to put it. There's one other I was looking for. Where'd it go? Right, little punk. You punk. I love Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis, and Zach Galifianakis was interviewing Justin Bieber when Justin Bieber was young, and he was, you could just tell he was just so jealous of him, and he was talking about, I'm going to put you over my knee and spank you, and he said, Zach Galifianakis turned to Justin Bieber, and he said, you know what I was doing when I was your age? And Bieber said, finishing 4th grade. Hang on, I'm looking for one other thing. I'm not going to waste all day with this. Come on, this is somewhere around here. Some of these rapidly scanning. Here we go. Yeah, here's a slightly more recent picture of the demon dog. Here you go. Look at this. Feast your eyes on this horror. Hang on. There you go. Hang on, YouTube. I'm a-coming. Look at that. Little miserable, rotten tyke. Hang on. You ain't seen nothing yet. I had this the hard way. Hold on. Yeah, get ready to barf. You don't often see children this horribly deformed. Isn't that horrifying? Seriously, I mean, isn't that just make Jesus weep? You know? Yeah, Can you imagine the horror? We felt so sorry for him, when he was growing up. We used to, smile and take him outside and hire people to not stare at him, uh, and it was just it was expensive, but we wanted to give him as normal an upbringing as possible, despite his obvious, um, deformity. I know, huh? I know. I know. Bastard. You're going to get yours one day, kid. Anyway, back to Roadrunner. One last thing. When I send you a super chat or give using the donate button on BillWhittle.com, these are not donations. These are tips for your exceptional performance. In case you didn't see this ruling, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just remember, the entire Strata family is rooting for you. You guys are the best. You're really the best. I really appreciate it. Yeah, pretty shocking. Capital G Geek. I do one of these. I think I'll take the second one. Thanks. Greetings from the swamps of Northern Virginia. Discretion is the better part of valor. Damn, that page loaded fast. Congratulations. You mentioned George Carlin's bit on euphemisms, and I think it would make a good video topic for you. Explain how using clinical names removes power and stigma, and how we should go back to the powerful terms. Words have meaning, after all. Yes, they do. If you haven't seen it, Nick Frida's response to Charlie Kirk's assassination was a read. I did read it. It was great. Had a follow-up for the Speaker of the Virginia House of Delegates' call for unity. Yeah, I've always been reminded that we're not in a different world. I'm also reminded that we're not in a different world now than we were last week. It's always been this way. We're just seeing it differently. Yeah, that's exactly right. The left has been murdering people since at least Robespierre. Pre-TikTok, they celebrated deaths of their opponents and innocents when it benefited them politically. At least this time, their celebrations are being screenshotted and used to ruin their lives, businesses, and families. A lot of them are going to be having a really bad time this week. Most states deny unemployment claims when people are fired for cause. Thanks for the special live stream on the assassination. Help clarify some things. Thank you, and I'm hoping to clarify some more things as time goes on. Hey, Blondie, if you're still there and not busy shooting for the cover of, what was that? Come on, Tiger Beat. Yeah, if you're not shooting a cover of Tiger Beat magazine, tell your old man I said hi, would you? And I miss him. I haven't seen him in a long time. I have 2 younger brothers and a younger sister. The 2 oldest, me and Ashley's father, Steve, are sane, fit, patriotic, America-loving, steely-eyed missilemen, and the other 2 are not. But anyway, thank you very much for that, Capital G Geek. Appreciate it. Astrocia. Howdy, Mr. Bill. Howdy. Concerning your desire to reach young men, I agree with the idea of calling them Space Marines in principle. I got something to show you. However, weren't you at one point considering the term archangels? Yeah, that term is a little, the classical representation of the archangels, the kind of classical Greek features was a little, how do I put it, gay. I meant to show you this, and I was going to save it till later, but this is going to go into the new. The revised Truth Bombs promo. Hang on a second. I have to find it. It's worth it. Where are they? I know where they should be. Just output this real quick. Yep. Hang on, I got something for you. Here's how I'm going to. This is my my pitch for Gen Z. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. 1 second. That's got it. Here we go. Yeah, here's my pitch for Gen Z. Man, have I changed my opinion about those guys? Where'd it go? There it is. Ready? It'll run a couple times in a loop on. Oh, but no, I can't do that. I have to load this thing manually. Hang on. Put it in YouTube first. Yeah, this is. I just love this. So this is how I'm approaching Gen Z.
The Emperor protects. Long live the Emperor!
One more time, just for giggles. You're damn right. Did it show up? Yes.
The Emperor protects. Long live the Emperor!
Epic. Epic. Yeah, that'll catch on. I would take out the Emperor references. We're not promoting an empire. We are promoting an empire. We are promoting the Emperor of mankind, and the God Emperor. And it was very homoerotic. Funny, I never got that idea. It never occurred to me. I'm gonna put him in battle armor, marching. Yeah, if you don't get that, that's okay. No, they can't be shouting, "Long live the Select Committee on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion." Yeah, this is Sparta, man. It's a one-off. It's a one-off. We'll put him in there with some Astartes Space Marine armor. It's an homage. All right, let's see what we got here. Back to this. Broke college student, Road Rider, Eric Blake. Eric Shearer, yeah, I'll probably get those. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Back, I didn't get finished with Astros yet. Considering your desire to reach young men, I agree with the idea of calling them Space Marines in principle. However, weren't you at one point considering the term Archangels? Since the 40-point shift to the right in Gen Z men has also coincided with a rekindling of Christian faith among us, would it be a good idea to capitalize on that and push them towards an even more virtuous example of conduct, one step at a time? Just an idea. Love what you're doing. Nope. We're not doing Long Live the Republic. We're doing Long Live the Emperor, because we're going right for that 40K reference, and we're not going to water down the message to make it appeal for everybody. We're going to concentrate the message to make it very strongly appeal for the people who it's intended for. Just an idea. Love everything you're doing. Thanks so much, Esther. It's a one-off in a promotional video. I'm not going to worry about that. I do think we'll get to the. I was able to get the Archangel Michael stuff looking a lot more heroic the second time around. First time we were a little light in the sandals, and but now I think we got it pretty much down. So there's that. Now where did my other text go? Where did I put that thing? Oh, here. Is that you? Yes, there it is. Okay. For the equity. Sycopolin says, love it. So fascist of you. It is. I don't think there's too much diversity in that gene seed. There's a little bit of diversity in there. Hey, Matthew. Matthew Riley McLean Wilkinson, how are you? Yeah. That's right. Got good gene seeds. So, anyway, thank you. Bro College student. Hello, Bill. A couple of political points to consider when you're trying to reach young men on the right. Good. To the extent you believe Scott is too moderate or not hardline enough, that is how many younger men feel towards someone with your position plus some. I'm not sure I understand that. To the extent you believe Scott is too moderate or not hardline enough, that is how many younger men feel towards someone with your positions plus some. I think that means I need to be more hardline and more to the right. That's what I get from that. But let's see. Much generational animus from Zoomers to Boomers and vice versa is accelerated by hate porn for either group. Most younger people have a human connection to their relatives that tempers this, and that's why we're going to go after them and show them as space marines and studs and all the rest of that stuff. Couldn't agree with you more there. If you wish to appeal to men and bring them away from Tate and Fuentes, leaning into controversial topics fairly and without being a shock jock would be best. That is entirely my plan. James Lindsay is an example of what not to do if you want to make any inroads. I don't know who that is, but I can find out. Take a look at it later. Okay. Of what not to do if you don't want to make, James Lindsay is an example of what not to do if you want to make any inroads. Okay, I'll listen to that too. A couple of points to consider when producing the content. Long-form content, about 1 to 2 hours in length, 2 to 3 times a week. Wow. Dedicated to a single topic seems to be the best approach from a financial and reach perspective. Maybe try setting a topic for TSL and fielding questions ahead of time as a trial run. Interesting. Your speaking is worsened when saying many filler words, ums, and such. It seems to be bad lately. Yeah, so, one of the... Yeah, I am probably getting worse at it. I've noticed it when I did the micro interview. Nice thing is I'm going to be writing these things, so when I write them, I just read them, and I become lots more articulate. How much do you think people understand? How much do you think you understand the lives, concerns, and opinions of young people? You don't have a biological kid or grandkid of your own, and your stepdaughter was an adult when you married. Approaching with compassion and seeking understanding will get you much further than browbeating. Best of luck. Well, I think, I think none of this is really news to me. One of the little lines I was going to put in there, I can Photoshop my face onto Arlie Ermy in Full Metal Jacket when he's in his full drill instructor outfit and he's walking down the lines of the recruits. And I could do something along the lines of, I may not be able to teach you maggots how to fight, but I will teach you how to think. That kind of thing. So I'm just going to use as many pop culture references as I can, and we'll get who we can, and all I can do is my best. And I think keeping it funny and lighthearted, especially self-deprecating, is the most important thing. That's why I like the Zeus kind of, where was I? So we'll see. Here's Road Rider. I read from someone recalling the interaction with Charlie Kirk where they said Charlie's advice was to turn off the phone Friday night and not pick it up till Sunday or thereabouts, with the goal of decoupling from the world and recoupling with family, loved ones, and nature. Good idea. That person really took it to heart and felt better about the world, themselves, and loved their family even more. Bill, on Andrew Breitbart's death, you did a firewall called My Friend Andrew. You noted that you went to dinner with him, and he kept showing off his new site on his phone and tablet. And you said to the effect, I'm not interested in what you're doing, Andrew. I'm interested in how you're doing. And soon after that, Andrew was gone. It was a year to the day after that, actually, I think. Bill, I know it's a luxury to say this, but here's a question. Can you adopt Charlie's advice 1 day a week and decouple for your health, for the love of your wife and marriage? For us, yes. Thank you. I just can't do it right now. But yes, the whole goal is to get this thing, jelly donut. The whole plan is to get this thing to the point where I don't have to do all of this all the time. But I couldn't agree with you more. There, I said it, skewer me or mock me, but I said it. I mock you and I skewer you, Roadrunner. You take the mocking and the skewering like a man. No, it's grand advice, and I would love to get out of town for a little bit and do all of those things. But yes, thank you so much for pointing that out. Believe me, there's nothing I would rather do than spend some time, out of the office and just go hang out with Natasha and go places. But yeah, man, it's great advice, and I have a plan to get there in a way that I didn't before. So let me get the website fixed first, and I'll tell you what the rest of the plan is. But yeah, definitely. Okay, Eric Blake, tonight, the case of the Rorschach effect. So, Bill, watching Sunday's Right Angle about the Irina Zarutska murder, I was a little taken aback about how all three of you guys seem to approach the whole aspect of no one on the train being inclined or capable of getting involved in any way. It was as though this sort of thing strikes you as a relatively recent phenomenon. No, it's not really exactly recent, but anyway. In response, my mind immediately went to the historical Kitty Genovese murder, which needless to say wasn't recent, and from that it went to Rorschach, the most moral character of the Watchmen comic. Talking to a prison psychiatrist, he notes that the catalyst for him becoming a mass crime fighter was that real-life incident, a young lady brutally assaulted and killed before the eyes of multiple witnesses, and none of them did anything but watch. And so our man concluded that if no one else could be bothered to fight that sort of thing, he'd have to step up and do it himself. So hopefully Trump's city crime policies can help render this whole point moot. But regardless, I've reflected on this every time we've gotten into a major no one got involved story. How many times can we get these kind of stories before we get vigilante crime fighters in reality? Or are Daniel Penny and Kyle Rittenhouse the real life limit to the whole idea? The broken windows theory of crime, which is what Rudy Giuliani and Bill Braxton used to revolutionize New York City, was that not just going after the big crime. If you go after the little crime, if you put people in jail for breaking windows or urinating on the side of a building, then what you're doing is you're basically saying to them and to society, no, this is no longer a lawless and wretched hive of scum and villainy. This is a civilized city, and you will behave like a civilized person in this city, or else you're going to pay the consequences for it. So I think that same small becomes greater issue is at play here. I mean, it's one thing to try and tackle a guy who's got a knife who just murdered somebody in cold blood, especially if you're unarmed. But I'm starting to see, not a lot, but just a few, cases where citizens are doing things like they're blocking somebody who's just loading up shopping carts at Target and just walking out the door with them. There is only one way to bring the rule of law back, and it's not through law enforcement. It's through citizens' behaviors. It's through being willing to get involved. I don't think many people are afraid of the perpetrator. I think more people are afraid of the state coming down on them for doing the right thing. I saw some kid just ripping iPhones out of an Apple store, just ripping off the display models, which apparently don't even function, but I'm sure you can get $20 for them. Just going down the line and just ripping them and putting them in his hoodie, and he wasn't a particularly big guy. And I just remember watching this, thinking, I'm not going to just stand there and watch this guy go by. I'm going to tackle this guy. I swear to God, I am. infuriated me, you know? And that risk is a risk, but the overarching sense that the state will put me in jail and not him is, you know, pretty inhibiting. So this is where you kind of have to kind of grow up from the bottom and come down from the top. If Donald Trump and the Justice Department say we are no longer a land of Eric Holders and you know, and that the law will be enforced from the top down, then citizens won't be afraid to intercede on these things. And once it becomes clear to the criminal class that they can't just do it without any consequences whatsoever, that'll brush back a lot of them. I think this explosion in shoplifting is because people just see so many videos of people just walking into stores, just taking stuff, and nobody does anything about it. They know, and I know, and the store owners know, that if somebody's going out the door with a shopping cart full of stuff, if I call 911, by the time the police get here, the chance of that person being gone are high, 80, 90%. And so, you know, you can't wait for law enforcement to do that. Now, I have seen a couple videos where somebody went out the door, and one case a manager, and another case just a civilian, just said, no, nope. And sure enough, they got the whole, you know, leave me alone, racist thing, don't touch me, you know. But they stopped them. And that is the kind of friction that it's going to take. They're going to have to make it socially unacceptable for people to steal, and if you make it clear to criminals that people will intervene in shoplifting, then they might intervene in strong arming, and if they intervene in strong arming, then they might intervene in assault or rape or attempted murder or whatever the case may be. It's a good argument for every law-abiding citizen to go around carrying, and because I watch these things and I just become just completely enraged, you know, just enraged. If you lose the ability for individual citizens to say, no, I'm not going to let this happen. You're not going to just walk out in front of my eyes, then and I'm just going to stand here and watch you just do no, nope. Now I know it sounds like tough talk, and I'm not trying to be internet tough guy, but you know, and also there's a and it hasn't disappeared by any means. Been in a couple situations that I thought were pretty shady, and I kind of looked around and I made eye contact with like a couple other people in both of those cases, where I didn't have to say anything. It was a you know, a relatively young male in both cases. I just kind of looked at this guy and just kind of, you know, wasn't a secret signal or anything. It was just kind of like, hey, you know, if this really goes down, man, you willing to work together on this? And yeah, that kind of you know, that kind of male connection and willingness to cooperate against the wolves is really essential. There you go. Okay, Sickapon, we're all about done anyway, so great seeing you. Thanks for coming. Yeah, Eric, you have to, if you're going to have a fundamental societal change, citizens have to be involved in suppressing crime. But law-abiding citizens won't be involved in suppressing crime as long as there's a reasonable chance that the state will come down on the side of criminal and not on you. And until that happens, we're going to be in trouble. So the first thing I want the FBI to do right now in the wake of the Charlie Kirk thing is to investigate all of this stuff, trace it back to George Soros, consider the whole thing, just RICO the whole thing, and take it out. Just take the whole thing out. Just RICO it. Racketeer, influence, corrupt organization. Just the whole network. Get rid of all of those attorney generals and city attorneys and all the rest of it. Just throw them out of office and put in people with respect for the law. And if you have to do it from the top down, great. But if I felt that the law was going to be on my side instead of their side, I know I would be feeling a lot better about getting involved with these things. You know, it's not a lack of physical courage or even moral courage. It's just a sign of, you know, what's the outcome going to be? Am I going to do this in order to make society better, or is the only outcome going to be I'm going to jail and he's going to get a settlement? You know, as long as that is in the air, then don't expect things to get any better. Okay, last one for the night from Eric Oshiro. Aloha, Bill. Hello, Eric. Aloha. Mahalo. Topic, narcissism. I realize this topic would be at home for either pop culture studio or the political lounge, but here it goes. I don't know how educated you are on the topic of narcissism from a psychological standpoint, but it goes far deeper than the casual connotations we often apply to it. Casual connotations. We often apply it to people who are selfish, entitled, vain, self-aggrandizing sociopaths who otherwise display such self-centered traits. These are not uncommon manifestations of narcissism, but the key trait is lack of empathy. Yes, pathological narcissism. It's been described as a maladaptive personality style, not evil per se, but largely immutable characteristic. We talked about this right at the beginning, I think. There's too much to dive into here, but a YouTube search for Dr. Ramani will return a plethora of videos on the topic, and she has written multiple books as well. YouTube will, of course, suggest other videos to send you down the rabbit hole after that. I speak to everyone when I say there are multiple benefits to educating yourself on this topic, including on how to recognize narcissists and how to insulate yourself from their manipulations. Before we got to the questions, I talked about this at some length, I would say for about 20 minutes, half an hour, with regards to the left, and I'm going to codify this and write it and record it and get it succinct, pull all the uhs and ums out. And you're absolutely right. So, yeah, I am doing it a lot more often. You're absolutely right. So, this is, I think, the key to understanding this entire dynamic is the narcissism of people, and 2 generations of the self-esteem movement have produced 2 generations of people with zero self-esteem. And that's not a mystery. That one's not so hard to figure out. The self-esteem movement is predicated on the idea that if you give people self-esteem by telling them how awesome they are, then they'll go on and do great things. And that's entirely backwards. If you tell people how awesome they are for doing mediocre work or substandard work or whatever, they know that they didn't excel. They know they didn't win the race. And when you tell them, you just were a champion, it's like, they know they weren't a champion. So instead of building them up, what it really does is give them doubts and kind of tears them down. The antithesis to the so-called self-esteem movement is to say, no, first comes the achievement, then comes the self-esteem, not the other way around. And you build self-esteem by achieving things. So the argument would be losing a whole season of Little League Baseball makes you have a higher sense of self-esteem than a lower one. The liberals will tell you, Mercer Dark, you lost, Bobby, you're a loser, Bobby. That's not how I felt after losing 10 games of Little League. I felt like we weren't playing hard enough, and we didn't know what we were doing. We went 0-10, and then my next year we went 10-0. That's because we buckled down. And the more hardship you're able to come back from, the higher your self-esteem goes. And it's not the number. I know it sounds so corny, but it's so true. It's not the number of times you get knocked down. It's the number of times you get back up. Yeah, Roadrunner says, think how good Bill would do in Little League today. I've been thinking about joining because I identify as a 13-year-old, and I was an okay player. I was certainly not an athlete by any means. I was an okay player, but I think I could be Key Biscayne MVP right now, even though I don't have any cartilage left. I still think I could take on those kids and be the home run champ, because I can hit a fastball in a batting cage. It takes me a couple dollars, but if I have a couple dollars, then yeah, let's say you get 30 pitches for 50 cents or $1 or whatever it is, right? So when I would go into the batting cages, sometimes I'd work my way up, but once or twice I would just go into the fast pitch baseball, which is not exactly as fast as Major League pitch, but it's high 80s, maybe low 90s miles per hour. And for the first quarter, it's just thwack, 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 thwack. It's just that ball hitting that rubber mat in the background. Thwack, thwack, swing, thwack, thwack, swing, thwack, swing, thwack. And just nothing. You get nothing. 0 out of 30. Second time around, you get 2 or 3 out of 30. And the third time around, you're starting to consistently hit, 40%, 50%. It's not throwing you curve. Not saying I'm, Ted Williams is not throwing you curves or sliders or anything, but it's giving you a pretty good pitch. P7 2017 says, I went into a 60-mile-per-hour cage once, never saw the ball. Yeah, that's exactly what happens on those first $2 or $3 worth of quarters. The thing, you see the ball coming, and you command your arm to start swinging the bat, but by the time you've broken the elbow, it's whack. And so you just have to constantly adjust yourself to start swinging when that ball is going into the accelerator. I don't know what else to call it, but you can pick up the timing. And by the way, this will be for a small group of people out there. The same thing that accelerates a baseball at those batting cages is very similar to that power station that accelerated Hot Wheels. Guys, remember that? It's that little station, had rotating foam wheels. You turn it way up, and that Hot Wheel car would coast in there and hit those things, and come racing out of there. You didn't have to just drop it down the ramp anymore. You just put this thing in the line, and it would do, free loops and all that stuff. I loved Hot Wheels. I thought Hot Wheels were awesome. Especially loved the futuristic designs. I thought they were great. But yeah, that power station, you put a couple of those in line, man, and you're looking at a high-speed day. But Bill, you can identify as a 12-year-old run champ and kick ass on those kids. Yes, and you know what? I would be a hero. I would be a hero for doing it. That's my favorite part. My favorite part wouldn't be just the winning. My favorite part would be having the left hailing me as a hero and talking about my courage, how brave I was to go out there and be the person who I really am, and not the person who assigned me 66 at birth, kind of thing. Chuck Lemercel says, I buy all the Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars now because my parents wouldn't buy me any. You would have got a better deal if you bought them when they sold them. I've seen some of these Hot Wheel limited edition things going for like $200 now or something. He says he must have 200 of them now. My favorite one was I think was the lime green one with the dome, kind of canopy on it. There were a couple, but I loved the futuristic ones. I thought they were great. And I loved the way those wheels kind of bent down. The springs were like kind of down on there. It's fantastic. You have that one? Awesome. Let's see if I can, just to wrap up the evening, let's see if I can find that. I vaguely remember what it looks like. Hot Wheels was great. That's the kind of toy that made young men. Made men! Let's see. Looking for my... Oh, this one was cool. It's not the one I was thinking of. But this one, I remember this. See if I... yeah, this one. This is the one. This is the one. Any others? It's just leaping out at me. Negative. Okay, so here, yeah, there's a bunch of them here. These are my two favorites. Hang on, gang. There's this guy who's pretty bitchin', but this guy's the bomb. That dude on the lower right kicks butt. Hang on, YouTube. I'm gonna do this manually. You can't just drag and drop it like you could on decent software. There's this. Come on, you just take it. Nope, of course not. Of course not. Nope. Hang on. Yeah, this is so tedious. I'm just going to add the one. This bad boy. How epic is that? That is a cool machine. Yeah, love it, loved it. They were great. Watching them go through that little power station thing, bolting out of there. Great. Okay, hey, and that's all the questions, and it's 8:14, so we have reached MVP status, which is our goal here at BillWhittle.com. Minimum viable product. That's our mantra here. So looks like we cleared that bar. And I guess that'll do it for tonight. So thanks for everybody for being here. Thanks for accepting the delay yesterday with such grace. It was a rough day when that bloody thing wouldn't work. We'll be back on Thursday for Stratosphere Lounge, and we're very grateful to all of our members as usual for keeping the lights on and making sure that we stay in the fight. So got big plans for the future. It's time to execute them now, and Charlie Kirk is an inspiration for me in that regard without question. So yeah, it's a horrible thing, and I just think good things are going to come out of it. I just wish the cost hadn't been so high. Thank you, governments. I will tell her to get well soon, and thanks again to our members, and thanks for being here. So we will see you guys on Thursday night for Vectron.